Hello, and welcome to The Learning Algorithm, the series where we explore how people really learn, how AI can actually help, and what makes learning and AI click. We'll dig into the science of learning, the power of purpose-built technology, and how Degreed is using both to transform how companies build skills, grow talent, and drive business outcomes. So imagine building a house without a blueprint. That's what most companies are doing when they adopt AI for learning without using learning science. In today's episode, we're looking at that foundation, how employees really learn, grow, and build skills. To help illustrate this, I'm happy to welcome Erin Moore, Director of Product Learning at Degreed. Before coming to Degreed, Erin managed learning products in higher education, designed online graduate courses for professional programs, coached and evaluated teachers, and even taught middle schoolers the rules of English. Welcome, Erin, to the show.
Thank you for having me. Well, one of my favorite topics, so I'm excited to talk.
Probably the question that everyone's burning to know is, what is learning science?
If I can take just a little half step back and set up some context around sort of like learning itself, it is essentially getting someone to know how to do something, right? Like the process of how they acquire new knowledge or behaviors. And it's very difficult to know how to do that effectively. If we think about like a gold standard scientific study, it might involve like double-blind research with highly controlled variables and like advanced statistical modeling. But it would be unethical to do that to humans to figure out what they learn best, right? So we can't really like do the same thing, the same research or same science that we use on medicine that we can on learning. So that's where this field of learning science comes in. It sort of sits at the intersection of psychology, educational theory, behavioral science, cognitive science, neuroscience, linguistics, sociology, computer science, data analytics is sort of this amalgamation of different fields. Its purpose is to inform methods and curriculum for teaching people, right? So it really tries to answer the questions, how do people learn? And the outcomes of learning science tend to focus on the most effective ways to teach something to someone. Not necessarily the things that they should be learning, but more how people learn and what's the best way to get that knowledge to stick.
How have you seen learning science evolve over the past decade, especially as we talk about the rise of, digital tools and then, that fun word of artificial intelligence that's
Totally
powering all those tools nowadays?
So I would say that the first thing that comes to mind is the ability to personalize learning, right? So we can synthesize with digital tools and with AI, we can synthesize and act on these really large sets of data and all the data that learners generate as part of their learning journey, right? So when I started teaching 20 years ago, I had access to a set of student data that was updated maybe quarterly, right? Maybe even once a year. And then I would literally have to print that out and take my physical grade book and sort of map these two things to each other, right? So if the long-term goals are here and the daily progress of the students is here, it was a lot of time to put that picture together and to figure out if students were on track for their next milestone. And now almost all of those data points that I used to like have to handwrite are captured digitally somehow, right? Through like a student information system or HCM or whatever the tool is. And then AI is an even more powerful layer on top of that to make the analysis super easy. Technology has allowed access to data in a singular place or maybe two places, and then AI allows us to summarize that and synthesize it, because at the end of the day, people who in learning and development, whether you're teaching kids or adults or whatever your audience is, teachers are really decision makers, right? Mm-hmm. They have to make thousands of decisions in the course of interacting with somebody and figuring out how to get them to that next step in their journey. And so if you have access to the right data points or that data is synthesized for you, then you know more about which decisions are more critical.
So taking it back a step, I would love to know, and I'm sure our listeners would too. You're the director of product learning. So, in that role, how are you, in working in the product team, using learning science in your day to day role?
I think about learning science a lot in the user experience area for sure. Thinking through what motivates learners, right, to keep progress in that journey that they're on. How do they make sense of sort of this like broad category of possibility, right? I think one of the things that we assume about adult learners is that they know what they need to know. And that's not always true, right? Because adults are human. And it can be really overwhelming to be confronted with sort of like the blank Google, right? Like, I need to be better at project management. What do I put in? What do I, right? Yeah. And so, how do you structure that experience that aligns with what learning science tells us is ways to motivate adults? And some of those things would be like, how is this relevant to me, right? It's really important for adult learners and for learners in general to know, what am I going to get out of this? What's the expectation here? So thinking through, how does the product motivate users, not just by sending like nudges or reminders or things, but really giving them exactly what they're looking for, and then making it really obvious that this is relevant to your role, or this is relevant to the skills that you need to build on.
I love that. And especially in utilizing educational technology platform like we do have at Degreed. What are some other ways that you're thinking about learning science and motivation embedded into an experience?
So learning can be really small, right? Like, I need to know this one thing because it's a new skill, like this formula for Excel or whatever it is. And then learning can be really lengthy and like more of a journey you're going on, right? Like, I'm in this role now and I want to be this next role. And so depending on sort of the length of the journey that the user is going on, they might need different ways of staying engaged in the platform, right? So that's part of what some of the outcomes of learning science have really studied is, how do you reward in the short term, right? With like little good job points, stars, stickers, right? Like, even though those seem a little bit more like in the K-12 space. And then the longer term learning becomes really important, celebrating those successes and those milestones, right? So that's where the social interaction comes in, being able to share things with colleagues or with managers, right? Especially if it's something that you're proud of, getting that feedback regularly and routinely. And so that you have sort of evidence of your progress, right? Like, I used to know how to do it this way and now I know how to do it this way. Then also opportunities like for reflection on the new skills that you're learning, because you can't just sit and consume, right? Learning is not about consuming materials. It's also about applying them and then thinking about thinking on the way that you got there, or the ways that you went wrong, right? Like, failure is an important part of learning too.
So what you're talking about is it's taking beyond just the consumption, but moving it into reflection, action, impact, next decisions, so that you can be better and do more.
Yeah, and hopefully sort of build that portfolio of evidence, if you will, right? Like, not only did I just complete these things or take this course and get the 5 hours, but it resulted in this project that I put together for the delivery of the Degreed product strategy. So that you have these artifacts that you can point to that your learning had an impact on or made a change to.
Oh, I love that so much, Erin. Thank you so very much for sharing the complexities of learning science with all of us. And if you all listening out there are interested in learning more, please visit degreed.com and check out our other episodes in this series.